she said. It's harmless. He just calls me baby as a joke. But when I arrived at her work event, he had his hand up her thigh under the table while she giggled. I walked out without a word. Now she's begging me to talk this out like adults. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. It's harmless. That's just how Julian talks. He calls everyone baby or sweetie as a joke. Don't make this weird, OP. You're projecting your own insecurities onto my career. That was the sentence. That was the collection of words that kept me in a state of paralysis for 3 months. It was the sentence that made me question my own sanity, my own eyes, and the gut instinct that had been screaming at me since Elena started her new job at the marketing firm. I'm 31. I'm an architect. I deal in structures, foundations, and load-bearing walls. If a foundation is cracked, you don't paint over it. You fix it or you condemn the building. But in my relationship with Elena, I was letting her paint over cracks that were widening by the day. We had been together for 3 years. They were good years. Solid. We were talking about buying a place in the suburbs, maybe getting a dog. I was the steady hand on the wheel. She was the vibrant, chaotic energy that made life fun. But everything shifted when she landed the account executive role. It was a big step up. More money, more travel, and a work hard, play hard culture that seemed to demand total immersion. Enter Julian. At first, Julian was just a name dropped casually over dinner. Julian had this crazy idea for the pitch. Julian brought bagels for the team. Julian is so funny, you'd love him. He was the senior VP of sales, a legend in the office. From what I gathered, he was the guy who closed the deals that kept the lights on. He was charismatic, loud, and, according to Elena, just a really touchy-feely person. I tried to be the supportive boyfriend. I really did. I've never been the jealous type. I don't check phones. I don't ask who she's texting. I believe that if you have to police your partner, the relationship is already over. But the Julian stories started to change in tone. They went from professional admiration to something stickier. It started with the hours. She'd come home at 8 p.m., then 9 p.m. Then came the team drinks. That lasted until midnight on a Tuesday. When she came home, she wasn't tired. She was wired, buzzing with adrenaline, smelling like expensive gin and looking at her phone every 30 seconds. Then came the work husband jokes. Oh, Julian is totally my work husband, she said one night while we were watching Netflix. She was typing furiously on her phone. He literally knows my coffee order better than you do. She laughed. I didn't. Is he texting you right now? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. It was 10:30 p.m. It's just work gossip, she said, not looking up. HR drama. You wouldn't get it. The breaking point, or what should have been the breaking point, happened 2 weeks before the gala. We were in bed. Elena had fallen asleep with her phone on the nightstand, face up. I was reading a book, trying to wind down, when the screen lit up. The room was dark, so the flash of light was impossible to miss. I glanced over. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the font was large, and the notification lingered. Julian, work night baby, winky face, see you at the office. Don't be late this time. My stomach dropped. It felt like I'd swallowed ice. Night baby? With a winky face? I stared at the phone until the screen went black. I looked at Elena, sleeping peacefully, her breathing slow and rhythmic. I felt a surge of nausea. This wasn't work gossip. This wasn't HR drama. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, rehearsing what I was going to say, trying to find a logical explanation that didn't involve my girlfriend emotionally cheating on me with her boss. The next morning, while she was making coffee, I decided to bring it up. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to be rational. Elena, I said, leaning against the counter. I saw a text pop up on your phone last night. She froze. The spoon clinked against the mug. She turned around, her eyes narrowing instantly. Not fear. Annoyance. You went through my phone? No, I said, keeping my voice steady. It lit up on the nightstand. It was from Julian. He called you baby and used a winky face. She stared at me for a second, and then she did something that caught me completely off guard. She laughed. A loud, dismissive, incredulous laugh. Are you serious right now? She asked, shaking her head as she poured milk into her cup. You're actually mad about that? He called you baby, Elena. At 11 p.m. Oh my God, she sighed. rolling her eyes so hard it looked painful. Opie, please don't be that guy. Please don't be the jealous, controlling boyfriend. It's embarrassing. How is it controlling to ask why another man is calling my girlfriend pet names late at night? She slammed the coffee mug down on the counter. Coffee splashed over the rim. Because that's just who Julian is, she exclaimed, throwing her hands up. He calls everyone that. He calls the receptionist sweetie. He calls the interns darling. He's just European. He's expansive. It's a joke. It's harmless. That's just how Julian talks. He calls everyone baby or sweetie as a joke. Don't make this weird. She walked past me, grabbing her bag. She stopped at the doorway and looked back at me with a look of pure disappointment. I thought you were secure enough to handle me having a career, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Julian is my boss. He's a mentor. If I make a big deal out of his jokes, I look like a prude and it hurts my standing in the firm. Do you want me to get fired because you're feeling insecure? I'm not insecure, I argued, but my voice lacked conviction. She had twisted it so fast. Suddenly, I was the problem. I was the threat to her career. Then stop acting like it, she snapped. I have a big presentation today. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to comfort you because you misread a text message. We can talk about this later if you can be an adult about it. She walked out the door. I stood in the kitchen, feeling small, feeling stupid. I replayed her words. He calls everyone that. It's a joke. Maybe she was right, I told myself. Maybe corporate culture had changed and I was just old-fashioned. Maybe I was being insecure. After all, Elena was beautiful and charismatic. Of course men would flirt with her. If she said it was one-sided and meaningless, I should trust her. That's what a good partner does. I swallowed the doubt. I pushed it down deep, into the pit of my stomach where the ulcers grow. I'm sorry, I texted her later that day. Good luck with the presentation. She replied instantly. Thanks. Love you. Don't worry about Julian. He's annoying anyway, lol. I exhaled. I let it go. I was an idiot. 2 weeks later, the annual company gala arrived. It was a black tie event at one of the swankiest hotels in the city. Elena had bought a new dress, a stunning, backless emerald green gown that cost more than my first car. She had been talking about this night for months. It's a big networking opportunity, she had told me while fixing her hair in the mirror. Julian is going to introduce me to the regional directors. I need you to be charming. Can you be charming? And please, don't give Julian the death stare. Be normal. I'll be normal, I promised, adjusting my tie. I'll be the perfect +1. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked put together. I looked like a man who had a handle on things. But as we walked into the ballroom, under the crystal chandeliers and the hum of expensive conversation, I felt that cold weight in my stomach return. I scanned the room. It didn't take long to find him. Julian was standing near the bar, holding a scotch, surrounded by a circle of laughing people. He was older than I expected, maybe 45, with silver fox hair and a suit that fit him a little too perfectly. He radiated that specific kind of arrogance that passes for confidence in sales. Elena squeezed my hand. Come on, she whispered, her eyes lighting up. Let's go say hi. She wasn't squeezing my hand for comfort. She was dragging me toward him. She was dragging me toward the edge of the cliff, and I, like a faithful dog, was trotting right along beside her. We approached the circle, and Julian spotted her instantly. His eyes didn't go to her face. They did a quick, practiced sweep of her body in that green dress before landing on her eyes. Elena, he boomed, stepping out of the circle to embrace her. It wasn't a polite handshake or a quick hug. He pulled her in close, lingering for a beat too long, his hand resting familiarly on her lower back. You look incredible. I knew green was your color. She beamed, cheeks flushing. Thanks, Julian. You clean up pretty well yourself. Finally, he turned his attention to me. The smile didn't reach his eyes. It was the smile of a shark acknowledging a remora. And this must be OP, he said, extending a hand. His grip was firm, aggressive. I've heard some things about you. All good, I hope, I said, matching his grip. Oh, mostly, he laughed, clapping me on the shoulder a little too hard. Elena tells me you're the creative type. An architect, right? Drawing pretty buildings while the rest of us sell the bricks. The group laughed. It was a subtle dig, framing my career as whimsical and his as essential. Elena laughed too. That stung more than his comment. Something like that, I replied coolly. The cocktail hour was excruciating. I stood there holding a lukewarm beer while Elena and Julian finished each other's sentences. They spoke in a shorthand I couldn't parse. Acronyms, office nicknames, references to lunches I didn't know they had taken. I was physically present, standing right next to the woman I planned to propose to, but I felt like a ghost. At one point, Julian leaned in to whisper something to her. He didn't just lean, he invaded her space. His mouth was inches from her ear. Elena giggled, a high, breathless sound I hadn't heard her make with me in months. She swatted his arm playfully. "Stop it," she said, biting her lip. "Opie is right there." "He doesn't mind," Julian said, winking at me. "He knows we're just having fun. Right, Opie?" I stared at him. "Depends on the definition of fun." Elena shot me a warning look. "Don't embarrass me." Dinner was announced. We moved into the main hall. I checked the seating chart. Table 4. Elena, me, Julian. Of course. We sat down. The lights dimmed, the speeches began. The wine flowed. Julian kept refilling Elena's glass before it was even empty. He was charming the whole table, telling war stories about clients he'd won over, but his body was angled entirely toward her. I tried to focus on my steak. I tried to tell myself I was being paranoid. He's just European. He's expansive. Then, about halfway through the main course, I dropped my napkin. It was a clumsy move, my hand shaking slightly from the suppressed rage, but it slid off my lap and landed on the floor between my chair and Elena's. I pushed my chair back slightly and bent down to retrieve it. The tablecloth was long, draping down almost to the floor, creating a dark, private cavern underneath the table. I reached for the white linen square. My eyes adjusted to the dim light under the table. Time stopped. I saw Elena's legs. She was wearing heels, her ankles crossed. And I saw Julian's hand. It wasn't on her knee. It wasn't an accidental brush against her thigh. His hand was high up on her thigh, his fingers splayed out against the skin exposed by the slit in her dress. His thumb was rubbing lazy, possessive circles into her flesh. And Elena? She wasn't pulling away. She wasn't stiff with discomfort. Her leg was tilted toward him, pressing into his palm. I froze. The noise of the gala, the clinking silverware, the laughter, the droning speech from the CEO, faded into a dull roar. All I could see was that hand. That violation of everything we had built. That physical manifestation of the joke she had gaslit me about for weeks. "It's harmless. He calls everyone baby. You're insecure." I grabbed my napkin and sat up. The blood rushed to my head. I felt dizzy. I looked at Elena. She was taking a sip of wine, looking over the rim of the glass at Julian. He whispered something to her, his lips barely moving. She let out a soft, suppressed giggle and leaned into him, her shoulder brushing his. She was enjoying it. That was the realization that broke me. It wasn't just that he was touching her, it was that she loved it. She loved the thrill, the secrecy, the disrespect of doing it right next to me. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. A strange, cold calm washed over me. It was the clarity of a man who finally sees the blueprint for what it is, flawed, dangerous, and structurally unsound. I placed the napkin on the table. I stood up. Elena looked up, startled. "Where are you going?" "Dessert is coming." "I'm leaving," I said. My voice was steady. "Even." "What?" "What?" Her brow furrowed. "Are you sick?" I looked at Julian. He was smirking, swirling his wine, not even bothering to look guilty. Then I looked at Elena. "No," I said. "I've just seen enough." I turned and walked away. "Opie," she hissed. "Sit down. Everyone is looking." I didn't stop. I walked through the ballroom, past the tables of laughing colleagues, past the open bar, and out the double doors. I handed my ticket to the valet, got my car, and drove into the night. The drive home was silent. No radio. No podcasts. Just the hum of the engine and the replay of that image in my mind. The hand. The thumb. The giggle. I arrived at our apartment. Well, my apartment, though she had slowly taken over every closet and drawer over the last 2 years. I didn't cry. I didn't throw things. I went into architect mode. Problem identified. Solution required. Execution initiated. I pulled 2 suitcases from the storage closet. I walked into the bedroom and started packing. Not my things, hers. I didn't pack everything. Just the essentials. Clothes, toiletries, shoes, her laptop. I worked efficiently, folding things neatly. I wasn't doing this out of kindness. I was doing it because I wanted no reason for her to linger, No excuse for her to say, "I can't find my charger." I put the suitcases by the front door. I sat on the couch in the dark and waited. It took her an hour to get home. I heard the key turn in the lock. She burst in, flustered, her face flushed with anger. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she shouted, slamming the door. She was still in the green dress, but it didn't look beautiful anymore. It looked like a costume. "You left me there. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was?" Julian asked where you went, and I had to lie and say you had a stomach bug. She flicked on the lights. She saw the suitcases. She froze. The anger on her face faltered, replaced by confusion. What is this?" She pointed at the bags. "Are you going somewhere?" "No," I said, standing up. "You are." She laughed, a nervous, sharp sound. "What are you talking about? Is this because of the gala? Because I was talking to my boss?" "You are being insane, Opie. You are being so dramatic." I saw his hand, Elena. The room went dead silent. The air conditioning hummed. Her face went pale. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. The pivot was coming. I could see the gears turning, searching for the angle. "You what?" she stammered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I dropped my napkin," I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I bent down to pick it up. I saw his hand. "Under the table. On your thigh. High up." She blinked rapidly. You're imagining things." It was dark. Maybe his hand brushed me accidentally. "You're crazy, Opie. You're looking for reasons to be jealous." His thumb was moving, Elena. He was rubbing your leg, and you were leaning into him. You were giggling. She flushed red. The denial wasn't working, so she switched tactics. Minimization. "Okay, look," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Maybe he got a little friendly. We had a lot of wine. It didn't mean anything. It was just a moment. We didn't do anything. It's not like I slept with him." "You let another man grope you while your boyfriend sat 12 inches away," I said. "You let him disrespect me. You let him disrespect us, and you enjoyed it. You called me insecure for weeks because I sensed this was happening. You made me feel crazy." "It was a mistake," she cried, tears finally welling up. "I'm sorry. I was drunk. I was caught up in the moment. It won't happen again. Please, Opie, don't throw away 3 years over one stupid, drunken moment." "It wasn't one moment," I said. "It was the texts, the late nights, the baby. This was the finale, Elena. I'm not interested in the encore." "You can't just kick me out," she screamed, panic setting in. "I live here. My name is on the lease," I reminded her. "I paid the deposit. I pay the rent. You transfer me money for groceries. You have a sister in the city. Go there." "Opie, please," she sobbed, reaching for me. She tried to grab my hand. I stepped back. I didn't want her touching me. The thought of her skin made my skin crawl. "Take your bags," I said. "I'll box up the rest of your stuff this weekend. You can come get it when I'm not here. Leave the key." She stared at me, realizing for the first time that the nice, safe, boring guy she had taken for granted had a breaking point. And she had smashed right through it. She grabbed the handles of the suitcases, sobbing loudly, making a show of her heartbreak. "You're going to regret this," she choked out. "You're throwing away the best thing that ever happened to you because of your ego. Goodbye, Elena." She slammed the door behind her. I walked over, locked the deadbolt, and engaged the chain. Then, I went to the kitchen, poured the rest of the wine she had bought down the sink, and deleted her number from my phone. The next few weeks were a blur of silence. I blocked her on everything. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. I blocked her number. But the silence wasn't empty. It was peaceful. I hadn't realized how much noise she brought into my life. The constant need for validation, the drama with her friends, the career anxieties she dumped on me every night. Of course, the flying monkeys came. Her best friend, Sarah, texted me 3 days later. "Opie, you need to call Elena. She's a mess. She hasn't eaten in days. She says this is all a huge misunderstanding and you're being incredibly cruel. You're really going to end a 3-year relationship over a hand placement? Grow up." I didn't reply. I blocked Sarah. Her mom called. I let it go to voicemail. "Opie, it's Linda. Elena is devastated. She loves you so much. Please, just talk to her. Couples have rough patches. Don't be rash." I blocked Linda. I established a new routine. The post-breakup trinity. 1. Gym. I went every morning at 6 a.m. I lifted heavy until my muscles shook, replacing emotional pain with physical exhaustion. 2. Work. I threw myself into a new project, a library restoration downtown. I worked late, purely because I didn't want to sit in the empty apartment. 3. Silence. I didn't date. I didn't go out to bars. I sat with the betrayal. I processed it. I dissected it like a structural failure. I realized that Elena hadn't just cheated. She had viewed me as a placeholder. I was the safe harbor where she docked her ship while she looked for excitement on the open ocean. Julian was the excitement. Fine. She could have the excitement. I would keep the harbor. The anger eventually faded, replaced by a cold, hard indifference. I stopped wondering what she was doing. I stopped wondering if she was with Julian. Until the rumors started to filter back to me. The rumors started trickling in about a month later. I hadn't asked for them. I had told our mutual friends that I didn't want updates. I didn't want to know if she was happy, sad, or dead. But information has a way of leaking through the cracks of even the most carefully constructed walls. It was Mark, a buddy from college who worked in a different department at her firm, who finally broke the dam. We were grabbing a beer, and after 3 rounds, he couldn't hold it in anymore. "You know about Julian, right?" he asked, looking at me over the rim of his glass. I stiffened. "I don't want to know, Mark." "You do," he grinned. "Trust me. You really, really do." I sighed. "Fine. What happened? Did they get married? Are they the power couple of the century?" Mark laughed so hard he nearly choked. "Married? Opie, Julian got transferred to the London office 2 weeks after you broke up with Elena. He didn't take her. He didn't even tell her until the company memo went out." I felt a grim smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. "You're kidding." "Nope. And it gets better." Mark leaned in, lowering his voice. "Apparently, as soon as you kicked her out and she became available, Julian lost interest. The chase was over. He told people in sales that she was getting too clingy and unprofessional. He ghosted her, Opie. He literally ghosted her inside the office until his transfer went through." I took a long sip of my beer. It tasted like victory. So that was it. The great love affair, the intellectual connection, the work husband who understood her better than I did. It was just a game to him. I was the goalie, and once I walked off the field, scoring wasn't fun for him anymore. "She's a mess at work," Mark continued. "Her numbers are down. She cries in the bathroom. People are avoiding her because the whole thing with Julian made her look desperate. She burned her life down for a guy who viewed her as a layover flight." I expected to feel pity. I waited for that pang of "I should check on her" to hit me. But it didn't come. All I felt was validation. My instincts hadn't just been right, they had been surgical. A week later, the emails started. I had blocked her number, but her emails bypassed my spam filter. Subject: "Missing you, Opie. I know you blocked me. I understand why. I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Julian was a mistake. I was in a weird place, and I let the validation get to my head. I miss our life. I miss us. Can we please just talk?" I deleted it. Subject: "Please read. I'm staying at my sister's on the couch. It's horrible. I realized how much I took our home for granted. You were the only stability I had. Julian was a narcissist, Opie. You were right about him. I should have listened. Please let me come home. I'll do anything." I deleted it. Subject: "You owe me closure. You can't just erase 3 years, Opie. That's sociopathic. I made a mistake, but you're being cruel. We were best friends. Don't I deserve 5 minutes to explain myself?" I didn't delete that one immediately. I stared at it. "You owe me." The entitlement was still there, festering under the surface of her apology. She didn't miss me. She missed the safety net. She missed the rent-controlled apartment and the guy who cooked dinner and the stability she had eagerly traded for a cheap thrill. I moved it to the trash and emptied the bin. 6 months passed. I was a different person. I had put on 10 pounds of muscle. The library restoration project had been featured in a local architecture digest. I had started seeing a woman named Claire, a pediatrician who communicated clearly, hated drama, and had 0 work husbands. I had almost forgotten the sound of Elena's voice. Then, she ambushed me. It was a Tuesday morning. I was at my usual coffee shop near my office, waiting for my Americano. I was scrolling through emails on my phone when I felt a presence next to me. "Hello, Opie." I looked up. It was Elena, but not the Elena I remembered. The Elena I knew was vibrant, sharp, always put together. This woman looked diminished. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Her blazer looked a size too big, and she had dark circles under her eyes that concealer couldn't hide. She was holding a cup of tea, her hands trembling slightly. "Elena," I said. My voice was flat. No anger. No warmth. Just acknowledgement. "I knew you came here before work," she said, offering a tentative, fragile smile. "I've been hoping to run into you." "I'm busy, Elena." "Just 5 minutes," she pleaded, her eyes welling up instantly. She had perfected that look over 3 years, the damsel in distress look that used to make me fold immediately. "Please, I just want to clear the air. We ended things so badly." "I didn't end things badly," I corrected her. "I ended things decisively." "I know," she sniffled. "And you were right to be angry. I was terrible. Julian, he used me, OP. He told everyone I was obsessed with him. He ruined my reputation at the firm. I might have to quit." She paused, waiting for me to comfort her, waiting for me to say, "That's awful," or "I'm sorry to hear that." I just looked at her. "That sounds like a difficult work environment," I said. It was the kind of sentence you say to a stranger at a bus stop. She flinched. The coldness hit her harder than shouting would have. "Is that it?" she whispered. "You don't even care? After everything we went through?" "I'm struggling, OP. I'm really struggling." She took a step closer, reaching out to touch my arm. "I miss you. I miss who I was with you. You made me a better person. Can't we just grab dinner? Start over? I promise, I'm different now. I learned my lesson." I stepped back, avoiding her touch. "You aren't listening," I said calmly. "I am. I know I hurt you." "No," I interrupted. "You didn't just hurt me. You insulted me. You looked me in the eye for months and told me I was crazy for seeing what was right in front of me. You called me insecure to cover up your own lack of integrity." "I know," she sobbed. "I'm sorry. I don't need your apology, Elena," I said. "Because I don't care anymore. Honestly." She looked at me, stunned. "You don't mean that." "I do. When I walked out of that gala, I didn't just leave the venue. I left you. I left the drama, the gaslighting, the work husbands, all of it. I checked my watch. And looking at you now, seeing you blame Julian for ruining you instead of taking responsibility for the choices you made, it just confirms I made the right call." "I am taking responsibility," she cried, noticing people in the coffee shop were starting to stare. "I'm here, aren't I? I'm begging you. You're here because you're lonely and your life got hard," I said. "You're not here for me. You're here for the safety net. But the net is gone." The barista called my name. "Order for OP." I walked over and grabbed my coffee. I turned back to her one last time. "You know, you should actually thank Julian," I said. She blinked, confused. "What?" "He did me a favor," I said. "If he hadn't been so arrogant, if he hadn't put his hand on your leg that night, I might have married you. I might have wasted the rest of my life with someone who thinks loyalty is a joke." I took a sip of my coffee. "So yeah, I'm good. Good luck, Elena." "OP, please," she started, her voice cracking. I turned around and walked out the door. The morning air was crisp. The city was waking up. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Claire asking if I wanted to try that new Thai place tonight. I typed back, "Sounds perfect. See you at 7. I put the phone away and walked toward my office. I didn't look back through the coffee shop window. I didn't need to check if she was crying. I didn't need to see the regret on her face. She was just a stranger I used to know, and I had buildings to design. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.